Hi, it's Jeff Stewart Hosey at Event Driven Investor Limited, and welcome to the updated top 30 US equities pairs for Pair Trade Finder Pro. These are the backtest results for our new set, and you'll see all the details of that in this presentation from January until today. First off, quick disclaimer, you've been through this before, but this is for informational and educational purposes only, not construed as personal investment advice. It's your money, your risk. And these are based on hypothetical trades based on back-tested information, not real trades. So what's this all about? For those of you who have never seen the top 30 before, these are auto-loaded into Pair Trade Finder Pro when you subscribe. And so how would you like to have auto-loaded a group of 30 equities pairs that since the beginning of this year have generated trading signals that show 99 closed trades, an 84% win rate, an average reward to risk of 1.9 times, and total net profit based on $10,000 a leg of $67,000 in those 10.5 months. Well, if that's interesting to you, read on. Let's go over how our top 30 US equities pairs are created. Each stock pair, takes us hundreds and hundreds of hours every time we do an update. So each stock pair we select for the top 30 has to meet stringent selection and return hurdles over the past 3 years, and they also have to pass a basic fundamental screening. So how do we create our sample? First off, we're using Yahoo Finance historic data and the adjusted close price for greater accuracy. It adjusts for splits and dividends. So this is USA Exchange traded. They all have to have at least $1 billion market cap based on FinViz data and greater than $2 million a day of average daily traded volume and be easy to borrow. Easy to borrow depends on your broker, but in most instances, all of these stocks should be easy to borrow. They have broadly similar fundamentals, same national market, same sector, same industry subgroup. You can look at the betas. We try to go for beta neutral, market cap neutral. That's not always possible. We've used a 2 entry, a 0 exit stretch, $10,000 a leg, 60 days max days in trade. The rest is pretty much standard settings that come loaded into PTF Pro. So what are the results we're looking for? And later on in this promotional series, we're going to give a little bit of a background on co-integration. But for this update, we've been very co-integration driven. And so we've made the most important factor in looking for the target results is to have a co-integration of greater than 0.9. And with Pair Trade Finder Pro, we use the Augmented Dicky Fuller test for co-integration. And because that's kind of hard for a lot of people to get their heads around, because it gives a p-value, and that p-value needs to be 0.10 or lower to indicate that the pairs are co-integrated, we flip it around, and Pair Trade Finder presents it as 1 minus that p-value. So if you get a co-integration reading in Pair Trade Finder Pro of 0.90 or better, that means under Augmented Dicky Fuller, you are passing the test that these are likely co-integrated. The target compound annual growth rate for net profits, when we're so stringent on co-integration, we try for at least 12.5% per annum on a self-financing basis, i.e. before any leverage, and we always try for that CAGR percentage to be in excess of the maximum drawdown over the same time period, so you have a positive reward risk. Minimum win rate, at least 60 some percent, target more than 75%. We target a correlation of greater than 50%, although if co-integration is above 0.9, we're not too worried about the correlation as long as we've got that very strong co-integration. And total commissions over and slippage over gross profit, we want to see it as less than 20% being given away to your broker. So sorry for all that verbiage, but that's how we create the top 30. So I'm going to take one example pair out of that top 30, and this is IMMU LOXO. And if you can see on this slide, let's read from left to right. You've got 3-year look back, 12 trades. The average correlation was about 72%, co-integration 0.93. So these are co-integrated under Augmented Dicky Fuller test. Compound annual growth rate 44%, maximum drawdown 33%. Profit factor says 0.00 because all the trades were winners, infinite. So 21,000 of gross profit, commissions of 1,231, net profit of 19,800. So the great thing here is the commissions are about 5% of total gross profit. Average net profit of trades, 1,651 and 100% winners. If you look at over on the bottom left, the equity curve of this pair over the last 3 years, well, it's about as good as it ever gets. And there's 100% winners, every trade won, and very profitable trades, compound annual growth rate of 44%. Over on the bottom right, you've got the ratio chart, and you can see it's a non-trending ratio with lots of back and forth across the ratio line. So lots of zero crossings there. So let's quickly just jump onto the pair charts for this pair. And you can see over on the left, you've got the trade history. That's a couple of the last trades there. You can see day by day how those evolved, what the entry stretch was, how the profit developed over time, and then what the exit stretch was. And on each of these charts on the upper left, you see the plus minus. This is where the entries were happening as it got 2 standard deviations away, and then where the exits were happening either through the time stop or when it hit or crossed at the close the 0 standard deviations. On the upper right, you've got again the ratio chart. This is for the last 2 years. You can see the entries and exits, and every trade in this pair has been a winner. On the bottom left, you've got the volatility chart. You can see it started off high at 3.6 but has been coming down, and it's now sitting at 1.34. So it's getting less volatile as time goes on. Probably means the more recent trades, well, the last trade was actually extremely profitable, so I won't make that point. But in the bottom right, you see the RSI, and this is great for mapping whether or not the entries were happening at extremes and the exits were happening at extremes. That gives you a bit of confidence to say, what do you want to see each time an entry signal is called. So that's a perfect example of one of the new pairs we have in this updated November top 30 US equity pairs. And let's go through the summary results. So since January 1st, there have been 99 closed trades. 83 were winners, 16 were losers. The average win was almost $900. The average loss was $462. There's about a 1.9 times reward to risk. Largest win was 3,813 on one of these trades. Largest loss was 1,123, and the total net profit on a back-tested basis only was $67,000 had you been trading these at 10,000 a leg over 10.5 months. Couple of things I'd like to point out. There are 60 tickers here for these top 30. There's no duplication of tickers, and we have 21 industry subsectors represented, so you've got some pretty good diversification there. We've added some high volatility pairs which have high reward, high risk. Always check the volatility column on all your pairs before putting on a trade, and position size accordingly. If your volatility is 4 or 5%, you don't want to position size it at the same as if it's 1 or 1.5 or 2%. And finally, as we always say, don't trade the raw signals off of these. Always check the news to filter out signals deriving from fundamental value shifting events, and avoid putting on trades where over the average duration of a trade based on backtesting, there would be an earnings release or a dividend date within that average period. So that's it, guys. Those are the summary results for the new top 30 US equities pairs that will be auto-loaded into Pro should you subscribe in this November special offer. Happy trading.